What is this? Why did I see discourse? What is this? Tell me. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by psyops. I like covering random videos that I see people retweet onto my feed because I know for an absolute fact that it's there's a decent likelihood the person who retweeted it to my feed or who posted it at some point is going to be informed. The way George W. Bush was informed when 9/11 happened, you know? Sir, Vaush has reacted to the video you've posted, you know?
Some trans people are luckier than others. Some trans women are able to go to the grocery store and pick up their dry cleaning without anyone knowing that they're trans.
So tiny?
Some trans men are able to get a haircut, go to the movies, and go shopping at the mall without anyone knowing that they're trans either. In the trans community, we call that passing. When trans people pass, we are able to exist in the world without people necessarily knowing that we're trans. Passing comes with all sorts of privileges. When you pass, when you don't...
Yeah, but they never talk about the negatives of passing, which means that everyone in the trans community is really mean to you on Twitter because they're jealous.
Don't look trans, it can be easier to find a job, easier to find a partner, and easier to be accepted by the world around you. Passing also helps trans people avoid violence and harassment. The messed up reality is that when people can't tell that you're trans from looking at you, you're often safer. Passing is a problem. As trans people, we shouldn't be forced to conform to gender norms and bodily standards in order to be treated with dignity. Trans folks should be able to look trans, whatever that means, and still have stable...
Is this video just like making good points but then baiting by saying it in a stupid way? Like it's how passing can be harmful, but then the video is just the actual content of the video is just saying like oh, here's how trans misogyny or transphobia is bad or whatever. Okay, yeah. I feel like we're kind of like we're ascending the mountain on this particular discourse too, because I'm seeing more and more trans girls call each other clocky in an affectionate way, as opposed to like exclusively as an insult. It's like, you know, clocky parentheses negative or positive, depending on whether you're on the right or wrong side of Twitter or TTTT, I guess. So I don't know. I get the impression they're trying to discourage people from even trying to pass. I think this is just a set of good points that's bundled and framed in a way that's meant to be controversial to increase the likelihood that people reply to it and get angry.
Stable employment and a sense of community. Rather than asking trans people to pass, we need to redefine the way that we understand women, men, and people in general. There's no right...
Why are trans folks obsessed with passing? Can you like think of any reason at all why not being identifiable as trans might be advantageous? I'll leave you to reflect on it with your mind. Use your brain and think.
Right way to look like a woman. There's no right way to look like a man. And for us non-binary trans folks, you shouldn't have to look like a man or like a woman in order to be treated well by those in your community. Instead of making trans people pass as our gender in order to be treated with respect, let's take a pass at the real problems facing trans folks. Having your gender identity scrutinized in public. Pass. Higher rates of violence and poverty? Pass. Living in a transphobic world? Oh, hard pass.
Okay, yeah, I think this is rage bait, like meant to be annoying. All right, well, now we've arrived at that conclusion. That's cool. Where's this accent from? Homosexuality. Hasn't this person... I feel like I've seen this person before. Does anyone know the name of this person? They voiced Double Trouble in She-Ra. No kidding? That's this person? Son of a bitch, yeah, you're right. In 2019, they published their memoir titled Sissy, A Coming-of-Gender Story. Okay? And the voice of Double Trouble in She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Tobia's grandparents were Syrian, got accepted by Harvard, but then attended Duke, where they graduated summa cum laude. Then why are you making dumb videos? You got a brain in it. You got a brain in everything. Why the dumb video? Yeah, I get that low-hanging fruit, but like I think on average, you know, it's an understandable trade-off. I guess you can be smart but still kind of cringe. In 2018, Tobia became the face for an advertising campaign for the gender non-conforming makeup brand Fluid. God, how much do you think this cost? Fluide, promoting a line of lip colors named after queer spaces such as gay bars. Man, pardon me for being literally Hitler, but I've always found something really distasteful about the way in which some queer people make queerness their identity. Not like their identity is queer or queerness is a part of their identity, but queerness, like capital Q, the archetype, is their identity, you know? Yeah, I mean, whatever. There are tons of dudes who make, like, being heterosexual their whole personality, and I find them annoying too, so at least I'm consistent. Sissy, a coming of gender story. Well, they're definitely talented at being evocative, I guess, so got that going on. I feel it's important to be that to specify that being gay, being your personality, is different from being flamboyant. Well, yeah, of course. Being flamboyant is just being flamboyant, you know? It's not about, like, how you act or whatever. It's the idea of making that identity your entire thing. I think that's annoying altogether. Like, hey, I'll cancel. Hey, cancel, please. Wee woo, wee woo. I'll say, I think it's annoying when anyone does this, okay? How many people do you see online who make being white their whole personality? Do they have any personality? No. It's a personality disorder. We've seen people do this with being heterosexual, don't like that, and I've seen people do it with being black, too. Not to say that being black or, like, your identity or ethnic group or your race or whatever can't be a huge part of your identity, but you guys know the difference between, like, a person for whom a big part of their identity is the country they came from, and a person who makes the fact that they came from that country their identity, right? You cannot we're putting together what I'm setting down, right? We're sort of constructing with Lego bricks the point that's being made here. Okay, I just, there are plenty of immigrants who come to America who okay, women comedy. As we all know, women aren't funny, right? Is being a woman a part of many women's identities? Presumably, yes. But everyone gets annoyed by, like, the female stand-up comics for whom the only joke they have really is that they're women, right? I'm kind of simplifying, but, like, that is a known issue. I think everyone finds that kind of annoying. I think if you're baby gay trans, I think it's okay for it to be your whole thing to a start. You just got to develop beyond that. I don't think it's ever, like, good, but, like, sure, like, you have a right to be cringe, yeah? I mean, if you're like just coming out, you're gonna be cringe, so whatever. Shouldn't be too aggro towards that. Yeah, it's understandable. Looked up their makeup brand, they're just non-existent. The website's down, Amazon listings are all unavailable. Well, it was like what, 5 years ago? I guess stuff like that happens. I wish I could know what the price was though. We are fluid. For him, her, them, everyone. Make up the rules. I get it. But it doesn't have the damn prices. We Are Fluid is a mission-driven beauty brand that creates vegan, cruelty-free, and paraben-free cosmetics. What is paraben? Designed for all skin shades and gender expressions. I don't understand what it means for makeup to be made for all gender expressions. I don't know what that means. Bad chemical? Oh, okay. Just some makeup thing. I don't know. Yeah. Wax, I think? No, that's paraffin. Makeup is already genderless. These dumb rainbow capitalism. Yeah, that's a rainbow there are two definitions of rainbow capitalism that people use interchangeably, and it bothers me. One definition of rainbow capitalism is, hey, our local grocery store has a gay flag out front. That's capitalism with a gay flag on top of it. Rainbow capitalism, because the flag is a rainbow. Okay, whatever. But the more sinister kind of rainbow capitalism, to my mind, has always been like, okay, you know how they do that thing where they'll put out pink versions of regular products, market them to women, and then upcharge them, right? They literally do that, but for queer people. Like, it's literally like the pink tax, but it's the rainbow tax. Like, oh, you want these? Finally, a makeup brand for homos and transgenders, $5 million, Or like, they do this in fashion, too, like, you can get grungy club wear that makes you look like you love cock in your ass for like $40 altogether, full outfit from a thrift store or secondhand if you know what you're doing. But then it's like, oh, here's the Vogue, like, nouveau chic. Yeah, for only $1,000 you can assemble this outfit that looks worse than if you just put it together through thrifting, and it's real and for homosexuals. Oh yeah, Nerodia. I think there are kinds of rainbow capitalism that are good. I mean, the capitalism part's bad, but in the context of living in a capitalist world, yeah, there are things like, I would rather rainbow capitalism than like anti-rainbow capitalism, right? Like, I don't know. Like, there's worse directions to take it. Basically, every video, or not every video, every business in Seattle has the gay and the trans flag on it. Very supportive. Like this $30 sponge cake. Well, you can get $30 sponge cakes without the gay shit on it too. Yeah. I mostly mean sometimes it feels more like people in the community who could be doing something that actually elevates the accessibility and visibility and station of queer people is instead like, I'm going to make as much money as I can off of the like transgender programmers who live in Seattle or like Philadelphia or whatever, or Chicago, you know, and where they're gonna buy like these in a fit of insecurity where they think that like this will validate their identities. Isn't that all of them? It's a decent number of them, I guess. Trans flag t-shirt, $40. No, 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 it's not like that. It would be more like, okay, does everyone know Rebecca Sugar, non-binary, one of the most well-known like cartoonists out there at the moment, did Steven Universe? Rebecca Sugar, right? Really kicked off in Adventure Time. It would be like if Rebecca Sugar continued to be like an icon and frankly a legend in like the queer cartooning industry, and then was like, okay, you know, I'm retiring now from the cartooning work because of all of the trans misogyny in the industry, and I'm going to use my expertise to give you the tools to get into animation yourself. And then Rebecca Sugar partners with some soulless company and releases like an animator's starter kit with a guidebook and a bunch of thin paper to like do the animation stuff on, and it's all like queer coded with like the decoration and like it's all pastels and stuff, and it costs like 4 times as much as an identical product that does the exact same thing that you could get from any art store, you know? That's what I mean. That to me, it's not just like a trans flag is being sold in a t-shirt. It's like that sinister, targeted, like I will milk money out of people's trust in my ability. Like RuPaul. RuPaul does this shit all the time. Yep. Remember? Yeah, exactly. RuPaul was like, here is this wonderful new online bookstore. And it was just like a cheap rip that copied stuff off of another bookstore, and it had like Mein Kampf on it. Like it was just a money-making scheme. There was nothing else to it. Though he wasn't the mind behind that organization. They just paid him to say it. But yeah, like that kind of thing, you know? I don't understand the non-binary people who, if you look for it, it's really hard to see any gender nonconformity. Well, gender is a feeling. It's an identity. It's not how you look, right? It is. There is definitely like a correlative element to the more masculine a person is, the more likely they're going to feel comfortable identifying as a guy. But that's not necessarily like a determinative thing. I feel like Trump also kind of does this with his own brand, like his shoes and Bibles. Yes, he does constantly, you know, and obviously what he's doing is pretty exploitative. It's just, you know, he's a fascist selling to fascists, so it's not as, you know, not as plussed about it, basically. It's hard to be yourself when society is naturally predisposed to categorizing you. Well, like we've talked about so many times before, like gender is a pretty incoherent concept to begin with anyway. It's basically like I've defined it as an identity as it relates to one's sex, right? So like a gamer, being a gamer is an identity, but it doesn't really relate to biological sex. Gender is like a socially constructed identity that exists in relation to roles we determine based on people's sex. So non-binary would just mean that you're politely stepping out of that, which, you know, whatever, sure, hell yeah, whatever. Not hurting me. I don't give a shit. Well, that's just a human thing to categorize stuff. Yeah, but we don't usually associate like heavy social weight with stuff like that, right? Like people's eye colors. Only the most despicable of psychopaths and scientific racists give a fuck about people's eye color, right? Like you can see eye color and categorize and think like, oh, that person is blue eyes or green eyes or brown eyes or black eye or whatever. Like, sure, fine. But people don't normally go then like, okay, because this person has brown eyes, that means this is what they should dress like. This is how they should talk. This is what they should look like. Like that doesn't, you know, there's a bunch of other stuff that like goes along with it, you know, that doesn't really. You got to understand, man, back in the human tribal days, you know, males and females just without any other social bullshit don't look or act that different. Seriously. Like go look at literally any other species that doesn't have the gender roles that we do. Look at monkeys. Look at female and male, like chimpanzees. You can tell the difference between female and male chimpanzees by looking at them. But like, how different are they really? Like, really? Like, how different are they really? Like, seriously. Does anyone even think about that? Like you're looking at a chimpanzee and you're thinking like, oh, girl chimpanzee, boy chimpanzee. Who gives a fuck, right? If you put humans in a tribal environment, you know, we're all cutting our hair the same way. That is to say, not often. We all look grungy as shit. I guess the main difference really would be facial hair, you know, but like largely not much. I just think a lot of people get their understanding of how men and women look either from the costumes that we're told to wear or from like cartoons where all the men are 7 feet tall and ripped and all the women are 5 feet tall and like porcelain dolls, you know? And it's like, oh wow, they're so different. It's dumb, stupid. We would still have a fair degree of hormonal dimorphism on average. Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't any sexual dimorphism. I'm saying that these lines are a lot blurrier than people like give them credit for, you know? Like if you like leaving aside literal genitalia, you know, there are guys who can't grow a beard and who are short. Like if you put them like in a tribal setting, like there's no clothes, everyone's dirty as fuck, you know, whatever, wandering around. Like how much does it matter really, you know? But we determine so much shit based off sex. Like gender roles have so much more. Like the clothes that we wear, where the fuck does this come from? You know, it's all social stuff. It doesn't correspond to any kind of like empirical assessment of what humans should or shouldn't do. And for that reason, you know, oh, this person's non-binary, but they look just like me or whatever. I don't like there was any empirical basis to this to begin with, you know? Article about monkey genders. I can smell the emails that I'm going to get tomorrow. So all I'm saying right now, just to preempt that, is I never said there's no sexual dimorphism in humans or genders in other animals. And if that's what you heard, you have brain damage. There we go. Just I have to say that because I know someone's going to email me and they're going to say, Lamau, you don't think humans have any sexual difference, or you don't think there are animals that have different behaviors? What about the lion? Like, okay, like, yeah, like I know it's gonna happen, so I'm just saying it now, you know? Too late, I already hit send. Yeah,